Alright, we'll be doing a demonstration of how to take DO on a bottle of wine today. First we'll start out, we'll show a little bit about the instrument we're using. It's a DO probe. It can be used for conductivity and pH as well. So a little info with the probe. When you have it stored in here when not in use, there's a little sponge in here that you need to keep moistened, not overly wet, but just moist enough where it's to touch. You'll probably have to do this at least once a week to keep it wetted. So now we'll start out. We'll go ahead and turn the probe on by hitting the power button. Once it turns on, we'll make sure it's on the RDO set, which it currently is right now, and we'll go ahead and we'll run a calibration on it since it'll be our first time using it today. So to do that, we'll hit F1 or the calibrate function on here, and then it'll give you a list of options of air, water, manual, set 0. We'll go ahead and do an air calibration. We'll keep it in our plastic casing while we do that with our sponge, and we will go ahead and we will hit start. While that runs, we can start getting our sample prepped in a minute. So we will have our bottle of wine. We'll need to remove the cork on it. For this demonstration, we'll be using a bottle that's already opened. It should be an unopened bottle of wine if you're pulling it off the bottling line. We'll go ahead and insert our stir bar into the bottle of wine, put it on our stir plate, and here, once that's ready, we can start gently agitating the wine, and then we'll take our measurement. Alright, our calibration is complete. It shows 100% saturation, what we're looking for. And to accept this measurement, we'll go ahead and hit Cal Done, which is F2. And it'll take us to a screen where it shows our calibration log of everything that the probe did. It looks good on there. And now we can go ahead and run our measurement. So we'll start out by taking our probe out of the casing. Just screws off, and then we'll set that to the side. We'll take our probe, rinse it off with some DI water just to make sure it's clean. We'll give it a wipe. And we can go ahead and insert this into our bottle of wine now. And then we'll go ahead and we'll turn our stir plate on, and we will gently stir our wine. And then we can go over here to our probe now, and we can go ahead and hit the measure button. And we'll let the measurement begin. Up above the number reading, it's flashing stabilizing and auto read. That's a signal that the machine is analyzing. And once it's complete, we'll see ready at the top. Typically this measurement usually takes anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. The machine takes a couple minutes to get to its endpoint. And it looks like our result has finished stabilizing. As you can see at the top, it says ready, it's done analyzing, we have our result. And our result reads out in milligrams per liter, so it looks like our DO of this is 1.93 milligrams per liter. Alright, we can go ahead and shut our stir plate off, so it's done agitating. We can take our probe out of the wine. We'll give it a rinse, wipe it down. And then, since we're finished with our analysis, we'll go ahead and we'll put it back in protective casing, and we will set it down. There you have it. This is how you measure dissolved oxygen in a bottle of wine. We'll be doing a demonstration of taking DO as a cellar application. We'll first start off by turning on our DO meter. For this, while this is turning on, we can go ahead and start prepping for the check-in tank. We'll go ahead and we'll remove the white plastic cover on there that protects it while it's not in use. We'll use this metal sheath. This piece right here protects our probe, protects our cap, so it doesn't bang around in a stainless steel tank, cause damage to the probe, and affect the life of the probe. So we'll go ahead and just screw that on. We can go ahead and give the outside casing a rinse. The probe gets rinsed as well while we're doing that, since there's some holes in there. We can give this a wipe, and now we're ready to go out to our tank. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll drop our probe down into our tank. We will start to hit the measure button, and then we'll gently bob our probe up and down while it is measuring. This should take anywhere from probably 2 to 5 minutes, especially if you have a lower DO level in your tank, somewhere around 1 milligrams per liter or less. Alright, we have reached our endpoint. Since it was stabilizing while it was reading, now we have our result with the ready above our number, and it looks like we have a pretty high DO of 7.44 on this particular tank. Looks like we'd have to do some sparging for that. And now we'll move on to our next tank. Before we go to our next tank, we'll give the probe a rinse since it'll be covered in wine. We can rinse off the outside. It's always good practice to take this off in between since wine does get saturated in there as well. We'll give our probe a nice wipe. We'll put our casing back on. And then if we're going to the tank next door to us, we should be right there, and we can go ahead and drop this in for our next tank, just like we did with the first tank. Drop that in there. Once it's in the tank, we will go ahead and hit the measure button. And we will bob our probe up and down just like we did on the previous tank. So, little side note with this, if you are doing this as a cellar application, remember this will be done at the tank top. And once again, we see right now it's reading, it says stabilizing, and when it is done reading, it will say ready. For this demonstration, we did do 2 tanks. We did one tank without air getting into it. The second one we did put a pump in here and are aerating it, just to demonstrate different DO results, especially with adding air, of how your dissolved oxygen can increase. We do have our result now. As you can see on the meter, it says ready, and it looks like we have a DO of 8.5, a little bit higher than our previous tank. And we'll go ahead and pull our probe out of the tank now. We will rinse off our outside casing. We can wipe that off. We'll remove our metal protective casing. We'll give our probe a wipe and a little spray with some DI water. We'll wipe it down, and since we're finished with our analysis, we will grab our white casing and we will put it back. We'll put it back on, and once we're done with that, we can go ahead and hit the power button on the DO probe, same way we turned it on, and power it down.